Actor Pedro Pascal seems to have a penchant for making very divisive political statements in public, and for an inexplicable reason, he still gets cast in, well, I guess everything out there right now. And it seems because of all this that he feels emboldened basically just to say whatever he wants. Some might even say borders on extremist behavior, but still, he continues on with this sort of thing. And the latest target of his ire is none other than author J.K. Rowling. Pedro Pascal calls J.K. Rowling heinous loser after she celebrates UK Supreme Court trans ruling. Quote, disgusting. The Last of Us star's reaction comes after the Harry Potter author gloated over a recent decision that defines womanhood by biological sex, something that should be a no-brainer, but I mean, we're talking about Pedro Pascal, so I guess that's why he doesn't understand this right now. But the funny thing about all this, or maybe even the tragic thing about all this, is J.K. Rowling probably agrees with Pedro Pascal on 99.9% of all political issues, but because she deviates from him on just this one issue, well, then suddenly she's a heinous and disgusting loser. And it really just goes to show the mindset of Pedro Pascal and other people who think like him, because you're not allowed to disagree with them on anything. Any disagreement is seen as some type of affront to their very existence. You can't just say like, I disagree with you on this one, or I don't believe that you're truly a woman just because you think you are. They'll say that's a personal attack on their very identity, as opposed to you just not seeing things the way they personally see it. And it's because of that they want to just basically other these type of people and remove them from all polite society, until the only people left are basically the people like them who already agree with everything they say on every other issue. Mr. Fantastic himself, and that's kind of rich that they're calling him that, Pedro Pascal is calling out J.K. Rowling. The Fantastic Four actor slammed the controversial Harry Potter author in the comment section of a recent Instagram video, calling her a heinous loser after she publicly celebrated an April 16th UK Supreme Court ruling that excluded transgender women from the legal definition of a woman under Britain's Equality Act. And a little background on this ruling for people who don't know everything that went on in the UK. I'm not the most up to date on this sort of thing. Like, I don't know all of it. This is what I've seen from my quick research into it. Basically, you have women's spaces and men's spaces in certain UK functions, but men started taking over the women's spaces because they would just dress as women and say that they're women, and they started taking over it and basically pushing all the women out of it. And it got to the point where the UK courts had to step in and be like, okay, we actually, you can't just have men take over all women's spaces just because they're playing dress up in this. So we actually need to have some hard lines on like what it actually means to be a woman. And they decided just to do what everyone's been doing since the start of human history, basically just define it by the biological reality. So it's, if you're a biological woman or a biological man, that's how you're going to be legally recognized, regardless of however you want to dress up or whatever you want to put on your face or head or anything like that. We're going to go by biological reality as opposed to just people playing dress up. And for some reason, some people just think, like I said, that's a complete affront to their very existence, as opposed to just having some legal definition, because you can't have ambiguity in the laws, or at least you shouldn't have ambiguity in the laws. You need to have a hard definition of what it means to be a man and a woman, especially when there's laws governing them differently, or at least in certain situations where they have to be legally defined. This is what they're choosing with, but some people like J.K. Rowling celebrate this decision because that's what she's been asking for some time now. Pedro Pascal and other people like him can't stand that other people seem to disagree with them. In a recent video, activist Tariq Narouf, I think that's how it's pronounced, blasted all of the awful, disgusting ish that Rowling has long exposed anti-trans rhetoric, has expressed publicly, also advocating for a complete boycott of anything Harry Potter related, including HBO's upcoming television adaptation. And that's a reason why I think it was kind of stupid for them to do race swaps in the Harry Potter series, because the only people that's going to try to appease to is basically people like this who will hate J.K. Rowling no matter what they do. So the way I figured, don't even try to do anything for these type of people, because you're never going to win them over. So you might as well just ignore them entirely. He also included a snapshot that Rowling, self-described TERF, trans exclusionary radical feminist, posted on X after the ruling that showed her smoking with a drink in hand, and included the caption, "I love it when a plan comes together." Now, here's that post that she made on it, and I personally just think that's kind of funny, and I can understand why she's celebrating, because she's been fighting for women and girls' rights for some time now, and this is a huge victory to that end. So yes, she's going to spend some time to celebrate about it, but some people just can't stand that. Awful, disgusting-ish is exactly right. Pascal wrote in the comments in response to the video. Heinous loser behavior, and this is a screen grab from that post that he made on that one. Just in case his remarks weren't clear enough, Pascal, who was a longtime advocate for LGBTQIA+, and just as a quick aside, the plus is for P, and for people who know what that means, yeah, it's not good. A community, and has publicly supported his sister Lux's transition. So his brother, who now calls himself Lux, took things a step further by wearing a Protect the Dolls t-shirt at the Thunderbolts premiere in London on April 22nd. Dolls is a term for basically a trans woman. So a guy dressing up like a woman, and that he was wearing a shirt that's basically saying and speaking in favor of that sort of thing. Fashion designer Connor Ives created this shirt to shine a spotlight on the rising anti-trans sentiment that trans women are experiencing in multiple countries across the globe. The word dolls is an affectionate term created by the LGBTQIA+. It's an appropriated term, but whatever, it is what it is. Community that refers to trans women. Pascal is one of multiple stars who have publicly rebuked the UK Supreme Court ruling. And Rowling, in the wake of the decision, Bridgerton star Nicola Coughlan shared a link to an article on The Cut on an Instagram story, which she titled, "This is a new low for J.K. Rowling," and wrote on the post, "Keep your new Harry Potter lads, want to touch it with a 10-foot pole." In a separate Instagram post, Coughlan announced that she'd set up a fundraiser for the trans charity Not a Phase. Allies. I like how they have to try to say it's not a phase. Like, no, for real, this isn't a phase. I really want to actually get my junk cut off. Every little boy is apparently saying that, despite the proven science that 90% of kids who never transition at a young age end up just kind of growing out of it, which suggests that it probably is a phase. But that's a subject for another video. Allies of the trans and non-binary community, time to come together. She captioned the post, "F the Supreme Court, F the TERFs, let's raise some money." You know, I hope people like this continue along this line, because I think they're alienating a lot of people to their cause. People are looking at them and saying, like, these people seem very unhinged and crazy. And you look at people like J.K. Rowling, it's like, all they're saying is just respect biological reality. That seems to be the more sensible choice. And courts around the world are starting to kind of move that way. This whole trans thing, I think, will just be looked at in my history as just kind of like some experiments. Like, that's kind of weird that actually happened for a period of time where people were just saying, like, yeah, you could just be the other one of, you can just be the other sex if you want to, if you just believed hard enough that you were, and if you took the right amount of drugs and paid the doctors enough money, then you can actually do whatever you want. That was strange, wasn't it? But one of the funny things about this is this other post kind of related to this that I saw on social media, and I think it kind of just hits the nail on the head with this one. Why on earth do people think this man is a nice guy? He's now using trans rights as a way to openly kick women, and he gets anxiety so bad in interviews nowhere else, which means he must stroke female co-stars without their consent. Red flags. It's kind of like every male feminist out there. There's always like, that's just a red flag right there. And every time there's kind of like that joke or whatever, that meme about it. Like every time you hear about a male feminist or some male progressive assaulting a woman, it's like, okay, reset the clock, because it just keeps happening over and over again. And he really does put off a lot of these red flags of the type of behavior doing that sort of thing. But if you think about it, it really does make sense, because the whole issue with this particular court case in the UK was men trying to push women out of their own spaces. And now that this actually went through, where the Supreme Court in the UK decided to acknowledge biological reality, J.K. Rowling, a biological woman, decided to celebrate it. And then a man like Pedro Pascal decided to, attack her for that, which, yeah, it just seems kind of appropriate. He is a guy who is not only advocating for men to go after women, but in this particular case, that's what it is, despite him trying to, or a lot of people defending it, trying to claim that that's not what it was about. That's really what happened with it. And now that he didn't get his way, he's attacking a woman again. So like I said at the start of this video, it's kind of inexplicable why he keeps getting parts, because he is how divisive he is. Meanwhile, you have a lot of other people in Hollywood, if they say something even like half as extreme as what he says, but on the other side of the political spectrum, they're kind of blacklisted from everything. But people like him continue to get their roles. And it's not as if he's like a box office draw or anything like that. I guess he's just found favor within people in the Hollywood community, or at least he's just willing to do whatever they tell him to do. Or I'm not going to get into too much detail about it. Let's just leave it there. But let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. And if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with the latest entertainment news. And don't forget to click that like button and share this video out there because it really helps out with the channel. Thank you.